Hey guys, what's up? So in today's video, it's just going to be a pretty simple one. How's the RX 590 price to performance wise? Is it a good GPU? I'm basically just going to test it in some games and show you how it is. Now, there's probably tons of benchmarks online, but this is more of me actually trying to play games on the card. Is it a good card? I've got some pretty unique tests for the card today. So this is the Gigabyte dual fan version. I got this for about $100 at Micro Center. It was open box. I picked it up. There was nothing wrong with it. I think it had some coil wine at one point, but that was about it. And coil wine's pretty normal on cards like this. It's really, I didn't like this design on paper, this, red and, or orange and black design. I wasn't a fan, but actually when I pick up, it's adorable. It is just so cute. So, I'm going to pop it in my Threadripper system, which is great for recording the gameplay, and I'm going to just, run a couple games on it and see how it performs. So, without further ado, let's get into the benchmarks. So the first game on our list is CSGO, which is actually a game we're playing for a different reason. While I'm not looking for the performance directly of the GPU, I am looking to see if it creates a bottleneck. Either A, the CPU is a bottleneck, and we know that this GPU is good for competitive games, meaning as it is a budget GPU, it would be good for a game like CSGO, as it's inexpensive and the game does not take that much to run, and if it creates a CPU bottleneck, that is a good thing. It means the card is good, and if you plan on playing CSGO, this would be a good card for it. So at points where the GPU is not at 100% usage and the FPS looks a little low, it means we're at a CPU bottleneck, and that is good. Yeah, as you can see, our FPS is above 100 the whole time. It's rather high, and at points where it gets a little low, you can clearly see it is a CPU bottleneck. The 2920X, while being a great CPU, and one that definitely works for gaming, it doesn't really agree with CSGO, but it is the only extra CPU I have for testing this game with a graphics card at the time. But creating a GPU bottleneck, 150 plus FPS, that's definitely a good thing. This card would be great as a budget option for CSGO, among a lot of other cards, but I definitely think this is a viable contender for a CSGO or competitive games PC. But let's move on to our next game. So our next game is Far Cry 5, and I'm going to test the game at the high preset. So we're going to go all high. HD textures I'm going to keep off because it's kind of unnecessary. Motion blur, obviously, I turn off because it's stupid, and that's about it. No VSync, nothing like that. So basically, all high settings, and I'm just going to give you like a minute of gameplay here, which you can see the card actually performs rather well, but I'll let you see for yourself, and then we'll talk about our next game. So, as you can see, we're basically above 60 FPS for almost all of the time we're playing, and on high settings Far Cry 5, that's actually really impressive. So, I mean, even here, as you can see, when we're throwing explosives and blowing up cars and stuff, we never really drop below 60 FPS, and we're in the 70s to 80s as well. So, it's definitely a capable card, especially in higher-end games on higher settings. Now, I also decided to run the benchmark a little bit. We got an average score of about 71 FPS, and our minimum was actually 63. And for high settings, that's definitely really impressive for the RX 590. But that's really besides the point, so let's move on to our next game. This was definitely a great test for the card, and it passed with flying colors. Moving on to our next game, this is a great game for testing graphics cards, and this is Hitman 2. On a mix of high and ultra, actually, because I'm not going for as high of an FPS, because it's not really a competitive game as much, but I mostly just want to see what this card is capable of at high, a mix of high and ultra settings on Hitman 2, which again is a very stressing game. So we're going to run our very stress-inducing slaughter test, and I'm just gonna leave you guys to see how it went. So here is the Hitman 2 slaughter test on the RX 590.
Where is he? No. No way! Everybody look at the money. I see your ass in hell! Fine. I'll see what's up.
So we did dip a little below 60 at some points, but for the most part we remained around 60-ish FPS, which was actually really impressive. For an RX 590 to do 60 FPS during the slaughter test, and this level is one of the most graphically intensive levels in the game. And this is already a graphically intensive game, so honestly this test was great, and the FPS was so good, I was actually able to continue going for probably one of the longest times on the slaughter test, so that's actually, again, more points to the RX 590, great card, does great work in this game. But that's not the point. Let's move on to our next and I believe our final game. So our last game is Grand Theft Auto 5, and GTA 5 is a great game because it stresses both the CPU and the GPU. I have the settings turned up pretty high in this game, so as you can see the settings are out on screen here, and as you know in these tests I like to leave you with my opinion and then just a GTA 5 police chase as long as it lasts to kind of get you like a last little bit of gameplay and you can see, and then it ends the video on something nice. So if you've seen all you need to see, you can definitely click off the video now. It'll just be a police chase, which I think, you know, you driving, shooting, running and stuff, which definitely shows the full power and potential of the card in this game, and by my opinion I think this card is great. I paid about 110 bucks for this RX 590, and for that price this card is amazing. Now you'll probably find them for about 150 bucks, and you know, based on these benchmarks you have to decide if that's worth it for you, but in terms of price to performance this card is amazing. But that's the point. Thank you so much for watching. I'm gonna leave you guys with this GTA police chase. I love you guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.
Copy that. We're in the vicinity. Trap!